Gonna hang out here for a second and see if anybody would like to join us today. Let's see.
Hello, Jennifer.
Hello. There we are. We're really live now. So
Wonderful.
I'm just gonna take a minute here to say once and then I'll say again, welcome to Astro Insights Live with the Roses. My name is Jennifer Rose, and I'm here with my sweet spouse, Melanie Rose, and we're going to talk a little bit about the astrology for the upcoming week, for next week. And we are going to give some opinions and some ideas about what we might think is going on as far as, current events and that kind of thing here. I do want to call your attention to a couple of new things to the channel. So on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have Astrology Today with Mel Rose that are released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. And that is a look into the next couple of days and sometimes the next week, depending on what the transits are. And Mel will go over all that with you Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 9 a.m. And then we have our lives every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And this is what we do, the Astro Insights Live. And then I also wanted to let you know that we're creating some playlists. And I have started curating an Ultimate Aquarius playlist. And if you have any suggestions for who to add to that playlist, I would really appreciate that down in the comment section here, or you can, just send us a message. But it looks like we're about 2 minutes in, so I guess I will go ahead and restart this and welcome everyone to Astro Insights Live with the Roses. My name is Jennifer Rose. Today I'm here with my wife Melanie Rose, and we're going to talk about next week's astrology to kind of sum up a little bit of what happened last week, and just see what's all going on. So I'm going to hand this over to Melanie so we can begin the actual program. Hello, Melanie. Good
Okay.
morning.
Hello, Jennifer. Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us here, whether you join us live or you join us later on. This is our weekly preview, and we do air live at 9 on Sunday mornings.
10 Central on Sunday mornings.
10 Central on Sunday mornings. I
Melanie
really thought
tried
that we were
to
going
get
live at
live
9
at
o'clock
9.
this morning, and I was ready to go. And then, Jennifer came to me and said, "We've got another hour, darling." So, yeah, a little more time to get it together this morning. That was nice. So let's start with last week. How did last week go for y'all? Because last week we had that Sun's conjunction to Pluto. It was the first one in over 240 years. And this is really like a spotlight shining on all of the systems that are about to be turned upside down and inside out, so that hopefully some change can be brought about. And some of us, I think, are kind of looking on in like with fear on some of the changes that are coming down the pike, because they seem kind of radical and different from what we think we value. Others of us are very excited about those changes, and they do reflect our values. So either way, there are big changes afoot. If you live in the United States, especially, you're aware of that, right? Hello, friends. It's good to see you on here. Thank you. So Sun was conjunct to Pluto last week. Mercury was in opposition to Mars. That was a signature for fighting words or for conflict to arise. And then on Saturday, we had that beautiful Venus trine to Mars, which opened up some grace and some ease in relating to especially our partners in the world. I wonder, what your experience around that was, Jennifer.
I'm a Libra sun, and I'm feeling the Venusian energy right now. So that is asking me to look at my relationships, how I relationship. A lot of mine is how I relationship, like my relationship with everything, my relationship with nature, with outside, with people, with food, with everything that I love. My relationships are kind of under review, and I'm finding that I'm having to have a lot of patience. There's a lot of things that I don't like that there's really nothing I can do about except for just course correct on my half. And yeah, I think last week was a whole lot of, like just understanding what is yours to take and what isn't yours to take from all the yapping that's going on from all the new. And I'm talking about the new administration. In the United States, we have a new president, and there's been a lot going on around that. And I just want to say, as far as the sum up from last week, what got my got my attention is this tension that's happening between the United States and Mexico over tariffs and the border and such. And so I find it very interesting after I looked at the astrology of the president of Mexico and the president of the United States to see how they might come together in relationship with one another. And I think that it's possible, but I think that it will require a lot of patience, a lot of understanding yourself before making decisions. And I think that's for all of us.
Mhm. And hey, I just want to give a shout out to Salty Mama. Thank you for joining us this morning. I saw what you said about having important conversations, and maybe it was a little tense, but also, being able to release some emotions and feeling better afterward. That's definitely a signature for last week with that Mercury in opposition to Mars, and then Venus trining Mars. It's beautiful weather for getting things off of our chest and feeling that ease of having said the truth, you know.
Yes, I'd rather do that now than in, Mars season proper, because I think they get to be a little, more aggressive. And so I think right now we're kind of just figuring it out,
Mhm.
how to talk and how to not react to every single thing that comes our direction, especially in our relationships.
Yes, the non-reaction is a tough one.
Yes, it can
But
be.
these challenges keep arising, so it's not like we have to wish we had patience. We just have lots of opportunities to try to practice it. So this week is last week was a bit of a struggle week with perhaps some good resolve at the end of the week. This week I'm seeing some positive things happening. That doesn't mean that we won't have any struggle or changes that we're going through, but the first thing I want to say is that right off the bat on Monday, Mercury moves on into Aquarius. So previously the Pluto was in Aquarius, the Sun was in Aquarius, I'm sorry, Pluto and the Sun and Mercury were all in Capricorn, and then Pluto moved into Aquarius, and now the Sun and Mercury have moved into Aquarius. Um, and so we're really shifting from that Capricorn vibe of like, what's secure for me and mine, to a more Aquarian vibe of what's secure for all of us, what allows all of us to feel supported and uplifted. And I find that very inspiring. Of course, I'm an Aquarius moon, so I love all things Aquarian. I like doing things differently. I like checking over systems and networks of support, and sort of testing them for their strength, and seeing what we can do, what kind of changes we can make to make progress on collective support. And with Mercury in Aquarius, that means our thoughts, our plans, our collaborations are more Aquarian. We're going out and seeking those allies, those friends that, maybe they're not so much social friends, maybe they're more like civic friends, right? Who want to see the same kind of changes and collective support that we have or we desire. So with the Sun and Mercury both in Aquarius, that's pretty big stuff. And then tomorrow, Mercury will make its conjunction to Pluto in Aquarius. Please go ahead.
Yes. As far as tomorrow goes, I do believe that I'm still going back to the Roy Woods Jr. stand-up comedy here. I think that if we go out and do and participate in the things that we love, the things that are calling us to do it, like right now we might be called to attend a meeting that's completely different than anything we've ever done, or something of that nature. And I believe that that's the universe trying to put us on the path to the alliances, like you said, our civic alliances, that greater good of collectiveness. I think if we put ourselves out there in the spaces that we love, in the spaces that make us feel uncomfortable, because growth comes when you're uncomfortable and you know how to like lean into the uncomfortableness, right? And I think that our perspectives need to open up into something different than we ever have before. You know, a lot of
Mhm.
Aquarian thoughts and vibes there, and doing something different than we have before, I think is really going to get us on that path to finding the people that believe and want the same things that we want, and we
Mhm.
can meet in ways that will affect positive changes. And
Mhm.
you know, we also have to have our minds open to that communication. Like maybe it is that people are going to say some
Mhm.
crazy stuff to us, you know, some quote crazy stuff to us, but some things uh, that we don't agree with, or something that we never thought about. And this is the time to really open ourselves up to those things and really have some good conversations about those things that you know, we're
Yeah.
thinking about, or that we're not knowledgeable about. You know, like I still have this
Mhm.
idea that there's going to be some kind of an alien that shows up at the Super Bowl, like a UFO. Like the Super Bowl is in New
Yeah.
Orleans, okay? So like if an alien were to show itself to a bunch of people, New Orleans is definitely like
Yeah, yeah, especially while we have
um
all this Aquarius action going on, it's definitely, uh,
right.
the time is ripe for something that big to be discovered or to be beheld by a larger group of us.
Right. And I think a lot of us are pivoting to try and figure out how it is that we do communicate with the people that we're already in alliance with. Like I've taken myself off Facebook, off Instagram, and have put myself in other areas where I feel less watched and less targeted. And I think a lot of us
Mhm.
are trying to figure out how we find our alliances now that we've dumped these particular social media outlets and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about that is that it kind of makes me think of the Ace of Pentacles and the invitation to step outside of your comfort
Mm,
zone. And what
mhm.
I always remember when I see that is, stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't mean that you're always going to be uncomfortable. It just means you're expanding your comfort zone, right? So you can go right
Right.
to the edge and step one line over, and then just wait until you feel comfortable there to get to the next step out. But our comfort zones have shrunk down considerably over the past several years, I would say. And
Mhm.
now is the time to really begin expanding them, right? We need to find out who our allies are.
Right.
So,
I also think a lot of people in the workplace are probably banding together because of all of these directives for people that have been working from home for years.
mhm,
Now they're being mandated to return to work. And I really believe that for a lot of us, we're trying to figure out, you know, our relationship with our work, or whatever it is that makes us our money, you know, in the
mhm,
capitalism, in order to afford the things that we need, you know, to be comfortable in life. And I think that there's going to be a lot of workplace stuff happening, like some decisions made, maybe some small groups forming, maybe even because non compete clauses are going by the wayside, maybe people in a company that are going to form their own or do something different
mhm,
because of these mandates given out by employers, and including the
mhm.
United States federal government saying, hey, you got to get to work, you know,
Yeah,
you got to come here for the work. And I think there's going to be a lot of pushback. And I think we're going to hear a lot about that with that Mercury
mhm.
placement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so moving on to tomorrow, Mercury makes its conjunction with Pluto. And I don't recall whether or not Mercury conjuncted Pluto last year when Pluto was in Aquarius, but uh, again, this is a new vibe, one that we're not used to, and one that's going to happen, a couple of times a year over the next 20 years. And this is, really the conversation about those transformations that we're going undergoing, those systems and networks of support that are being turned over and inside out and looked over and brought to a point of transition and change. So that's combined under pressure, your thoughts, plans, and communications, and those bigger transformations that we're undergoing right now. It'll be interesting to see what kind of conversations come up or what we see come out of the news right now.
No. Yeah, I agree. I kind of have in my notes about this aspect, that there are some big power dynamics at play. For some reason, I got the idea that if you've been doing some investigating about something, like you're looking into a new job or you're trying to figure out the workplace rules, trying to find those loopholes, this is the time for loophole finding for sure. And
Yes.
with that Mercury conjunct Pluto, I also wrote down Supreme Court, federal courts. We might be hearing some things from all these courts or an overturn of them, since we are going to
Mhm.
be placing people on the court. So I think there's going to be a whole lot of endings and beginnings beginning like now,
Like right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are witnessing it happen.
Yes.
So, coming into Wednesday, the really good news about this week is that it's Imbolc, which is the midpoint between winter solstice and spring equinox. So we're halfway there, friends. We're halfway to the springtime. I am a spring baby as far as I'm considered. Once we get through New Year, we can just skip to like the end of March. I don't see any problem with that. But every year we still have to live through January and February and the first part of March. And this cold time of year is not my favorite time of year. So I'm really happy when we get to Imbolc. This is the time when the seeds really start to feel the warmth in the ground. The ground will start to warm up a little bit. And it's a time when people start to plant seeds this time of year as well. So um, not that we can get out there and just make our gardens grow, in the end of January, but that we can really begin to plan what it is that we want to germinate in the coming months. And that can be, literal germination, literal seeds and plants, but it can also just be, we're starting to plan what it is that what we want to grow over the next year, like how it's actually going to grow. We're starting to put those seeds in place.
Yes. And isn't it Uranus and Taurus retrograde?
Hmm.
Um, I have written down here in my notes that retrograde retrograde cycle that began on September 1st of last year is now coming to an end. So,
Hmm.
that's kind of a little bit of a rebellious vibe. It's kind of like, okay, so we've been, sitting back and kind of looking at things and how we want to do things. And now with the new
Hmm.
moon, we're going to do some things differently. We've got an idea that we can, hatch and push forward. And I really
Yeah.
feel like this is a very autonomous Aquarius kind of vibe happening. And, so if you think about what's been happening since September 1st, those themes are going to, come to a completion now. So if there's something you've been working on and you may see it end, you may see it just dissolve, you may just be like, you know what, screw it, I'm not dealing with this anymore. This isn't my problem,
Mhm.
which maybe for a lot of us here, like NMP, not my problem.
Karmic
That's a way
closure
that
is
I
just like
know what's
discovering what doesn't work. Yes.
right.
Sorry.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
what my responsibility is here and what everyone else's responsibility, I think that's going to be called into question. I think in a little bit of a more rebellious kind of Aquarian tone. So maybe, I
Mhm.
don't know, we're gonna hear and see some rebellion and some kind of like
Yeah.
autonomy, body autonomy, all sorts of autonomy, but just no longer, you know, subscribing to all of these systems that we have for these past
Yeah.
months.
Yes, and on Wednesday, we do have that new moon in Aquarius. That's the
Yes.
sun conjunct the moon in Aquarius. And on that day, it will be Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Pluto all in Aquarius. No more planets in Capricorn for a while. So we've really made that shift out of personal security into collective security. And then the next day, Uranus, which is the modern ruler of Aquarius, goes direct. So that's a very powerful Aquarian vibe that says, okay, let's do this change. Let's embrace what's going to lift us all up. Let's embrace what's going to pull us all forward. I love that vibration. I love Uranus vibration because it just brings about like surprises and upgrades in perspective. It helps us see things in a new way. It helps us realize that the world is bigger than we thought it was and more
Right.
hopeful, I think.
I think so too. I think that we've got to change our mindset and our perspectives. Like, I think a lot of us are doing a whole lot of doom and gloom scrolling and rolling. I don't know what that
Yeah.
means, but I mean, we're just kind of rolling with the gloom and doom. And, I really invite everyone right now to kind of change that perspective and see, in action, what can we do about those things that seem gloomy and doomy, and not pay attention to those things that aren't going to come into fruition or
Mhm.
just don't affect you, We're thinking
Yeah.
about the bigger picture, but also like who we are in that bigger picture, and healing some things about ourselves so we can go forward and
Mhm.
be a little bit better people in our collective.
Yes, sort of trying to make ourselves better able to relate on a more
Mm.
collective level, for sure.
Especially after COVID, like COVID just like pushed us all away from one another. And now we're trying to figure out how to get back together, how to make friends, how to make alliances, how
Mhm.
to act in groups anymore. Like we've been acting in groups on Zoom forever. How do you act in person? And I think that we're gonna figure that one out.
When you can't just mute yourself and go off camera because 'cause you're in a group of people.
Right. I can't turn myself into a cat and talk like that.
Yeah.
Or
I guess we could
maybe it is.
yeah. Maybe we just put, filters on our faces, little masks or something. It might
Yeah, I
help.
think it's time to pull out I like to wear a cape in these times,
Yes.
so
Yes. Super
all right.
Jen.
Super
Okay.
kind.
So, and then on Thursday, as Uranus is going direct, the sun it completes a trine to Jupiter. And this is a really good fortune kind of aspect. This is, Jupiter is that outer, sort of inner and outer planet that wants us to connect to the larger world in ways that expand our experience and our understanding of what we can be, do, and have. Jupiter is like a mama that just wants to give you everything that you like. Venus not Venus, the sun puts a spotlight, it puts our attention on that, and it also has to do with who we are out in the world as we interact with the rest of the world. So with that trine, it's just grace. It's just like say yes to positive opportunities, say yes to things that look like and feel like good fortune. Let's not sell ourselves short and say we don't deserve the good things that are coming forward because good things are bound to come forward on that day and just this week in general.
I agree. Baby steps with that. I've been focusing on some of the bigger sports balls things, and there's a NFL football happening, and I don't really watch it, but we are, in Kansas City. So the Chiefs fans, like the energy is just like always exciting on the weekends and stuff. And the day after, it's just kind of like, woo.
Mhm.
So I'm feeling that extra happiness that now that sports betting is legalized, I also feel a lot of that happening. So, just just remember to take tiny steps. So if you made a little bet this time and then you want to bet the whole thing on the Super Bowl, you may just
Yeah,
dial that back a little bit. Like
yeah.
plant little seeds to grow into something bigger, figure out how manifested that and figure out that energy and push it toward that. But yes, tiny steps. So if you have a small win, don't pile
Mhm.
three-quarters more on top of it to have an even bigger win. It's going to have to be just step
Right.
by step right now. But
But
I feel like Jupiter is like, yes, you can have
yes.
this. If you believe that it's coming to you, if you believe it's already yours, if you believe you deserve it, I
Mhm.
deserve it all. Thank
Yes.
you for
Yes,
the
the
blessings,
universe is saying yes
Jupiter.
to us at this time, definitely with Jupiter in hand. And, as Nadia always says, don't bet the farm. Just don't bet the farm. Even if you feel extremely lucky, do not bet it all, okay? Hold some in reserve for yourself. Make sure you can pay for the things that you need to pay for. And, if you're going to bet on sports or anything else, just a little bit at a time, right?
Yes, and then Nadia is an Aquarian, so she's an
Yes.
Aquarius. So don't bet the farm, just little by little.
Mhm.
Relish those wins that feel really big to you, and not try to pile up to figure out how to get that big win again, because it's going to
Mhm.
be different every single time.
Yes. And I just want to say, I see a comment down here about somebody feeling pretty fed up with life. And I just want to say, don't bet the farm, okay? Don't give everything away. in terms of your life or your potential to have experience. If you want to check out for a day or two, that's one thing, but to just give up on life completely, that would be premature. So please don't.
Yes,
Um,
I understand that I have this feeling, and I think it's today, and I think it's been like over the weekend about it's really wanting me to be gloom and doomy, and it's been a challenge to rise above that, because if you even participate in the world just a little bit, you can find something that's really doomy, okay? And I really
mhm,
believe that once we get through this week and we start making a plan and we just baby step out of that darkness, just baby step, like in bulk, we're baby
mhm,
stepping out of the darkness. Like what in bulk starts on Wednesday, Sunday is
mhm.
the
Wednesday through
culmination of that, the
Sunday.
end of it. Right.
Mhm.
So we have some stuff to get through, but when we get through this weekend, these Venus aspects, the Venus and Pisces, um,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna really feel a different way about some things.
Mhm.
Right now it's just about, knowing, I think for me, it's knowing what I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want this tension anymore. And whatever it is that I can take it away, and the
Mhm.
emotionality of it. I can hear myself when I speak, like it's a lot of emotions. It's a lot of, I'm trying to not to project on people, because there's things that I'm angry about that I'm not talking about, or I feel like I can't talk about. And
Mhm.
I think that's just really the energy right now. And the end of this week is really going to turn around to a whole lot of love, a whole lot of blessings.
Yeah.
There's something that's going to come in that kind of pulls you up a little bit.
Right. So let's go ahead and go there because we've talked about Monday through Thursday.
Yes.
There's not much happening on Friday, a couple of lunar aspects, but it should be a pretty peaceful day for us. And
Right.
then on Saturday, Venus makes a conjunction with Neptune in Pisces. So Venus is very happy in Pisces, exalted there, like the king's best friend is visiting, okay? And then Neptune is one of the kings of Pisces. Neptune is right at home in Pisces. So it's a very it's a very loving and receptive vibe. It's about the things that I like, love, and can't get enough of, but it's also about my connection to everyone, to all life on earth, to all the other human beings, not just the ones that I know and that I keep close to myself, but life on earth in general. So it's going to be intense,
Yes.
that loving vibe, but it is definitely intense and loving and expansive. It's like your cup of love overflows and you're able to feel that connection to the greater sphere of humanity very well. And that's such a nice vibe to have coming into Imbolc on Sunday, because Imbolc starts on Wednesday with the lunar celebration, and then on Sunday is the solar celebration. Those are the two midpoints between winter solstice and spring equinox. And to have Venus conjuncting Neptune right there, it's just like feel the love and feel the potential of springtime and blooming and blossoming and things, beginning to grow. You can see the sap begin to rise into the trees and stuff like that. It's a really good uh, I don't know. I feel like it's a vibe that's full of life and love and potential.
Yeah, I think also it's a sexy vibe. And I have written down here, you know, this might be fantasy fulfillment. Might be when we let go and we think about what we, like really fantasize. Like I don't think, how many of us truly get the opportunity to fantasize and really get taken away into a whole other realm of a
Mhm,
world, even for 10 minutes or half an hour. And so
mhm.
I think that's a really sexy vibe. You know,
Yes.
it's given like Mr. Gray vibe feelings, so maybe if you're looking to, enhance your romantic life,
Mhm,
it might be a good idea to tell your partner, like, hey, I've been, if this pops in your head, ask, and maybe you will receive. I
mhm,
think there's going to be a lot of romantic. I think we're going to be feeling romantic. So if we're not in a relationship currently, we might be looking for someone. We might find someone. Um,
mhm,
you know, and it might be that this person that we find is fulfilling some fantasy of some sort. Like maybe it is
mhm,
that I wanted a dark haired, dark eyed person with this kind of hair, and they just happen to be there.
mhm.
And you're like, oh, hell yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to go and I'm going to go, take care of that. But, um, really love and healing is coming into our life, especially with Venus exalted in Pisces. And, right now, I think we're just trying to prepare ourselves to, allow ourselves to feel that, allow ourselves to, partake in the fantasies of life and those
Mhm.
romantic notions that we've always wanted to partake in. And, also maybe it is that we're just expanding our horizon,
Mhm.
especially where love is concerned, especially what we're attracted to is changing,
Yeah.
um I really think that once we figure that out this week, and then when the weekend comes and Venus does her thing in Pisces, um, I I think it's going to be an amazing weekend for love,
Yes.
romance, sex, just taking care of yourself. And it doesn't have to be that you're
Mhm.
with someone else. It could be that you go get your nails done, or you go get a massage, or you take care of yourself in that way
Mhm.
that makes you feel the most beautiful. And that's different for everyone, but you're going to attract it to you when your friends come and say, "Hey, let's go get facials, or let's go get our nails did or our hair did," yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
great. And
Yeah.
we're kind of reinventing how we love, how we do love. And I encourage you, if you start feeling dreamy on Friday, dream big, fantasize big, and then just make sure you communicate that with other people so that way it can come true.
Mhm. Absolutely.
You never know
Absolutely.
until you try.
It's
Ask.
a really good vibe for what you idealize, what you fantasize, for sure. And I would just dive in. The
Right.
water is fine. The water is fine.
The
Feel
water is
those feelings.
fine.
In the last week or so, Venus had some interactions. Well, it had a conjunction with Saturn, and that's about being sort of like brought back to reality about, like the difference between what I want or what I think I'd like to have, and what is responsible to have, or what I need for my own stability. So, hopefully we were a little bit drawn to more serious things that would, potentially affect us in positive ways materially. But this is our opportunity to let go of that seriousness a little bit and just dream and really idealize what the weeks and months coming forward look like. And I think it's great that Venus conjunct Neptune is happening 2 weeks before Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
I think we're
Yes.
being set up for some pretty good Valentine's Days for those of us who celebrate it. So
Mhm.
that's beautiful. And then on Sunday, Imbolc is, like I said, the midpoint between winter solstice and spring equinox. So uh, we are really looking at the sun is coming back. The days are getting longer. The weather should get warmer for those of us in the northern hemisphere. So I'm looking forward to that. I love that midpoint.
I'm looking forward to that as well. And, as far as when you said that again, I'm still going back to a conversation between our country and Mexico. Um,
Mhm.
just I'm going to look at my notes really quickly here of what their two different. Well, maybe I don't have them here with me right now, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of conversation surrounding our country and our country's relationship with other countries, and I fully expect them to change. I don't think that they have to change in the negative. I just think that there's going to be some conversations. I love that we're not so Saturn laden right now, that we're not so heavily weighed down in this Capricorn vibe, because I think we're switching from what what Capricorn should, could, would, and wants us to do, the rules, the traditions, the way we've always done it. Like, I feel like throughout the holidays, a lot of people have been dealing with parents like, why aren't you dating? Why aren't you married? Why aren't you having kids? Like, why aren't you doing this? I think a lot of people have been, butting up against the rules a lot. And I think that those things are going to take a turn at the end of the week into something more collective, something more loving, something more, you know, um, I feel like Venus is a great mediator. And I think that while this week might have some, really stern words, I think at the end of the week, it's going to turn into something a lot more softer, a lot more pliable, a lot more agreeable. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
in every aspect. I
Right.
also just am really feeling that Jupiter vibe. Like I also feel like
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have a lot of wins that we weren't expecting this week. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have to really concentrate on those wins and really get in that feeling of what it feels like to win, because we don't always win. And
Yeah.
it sucks to lose, but in these small places where we can take our wins, we need to take them, breathe them all in, experience them, remember them, remind ourselves that we deserve to have these wins, that we deserve to have this abundance, we deserve this
Mm-hmm.
love. When this love walks in and it kind of knocks you over and you think, oh no, this isn't for me, hell yes, it's for you. Go grab it, go take it, like go put yourself out there in a way that you've not put yourself out there before. Communicate, say what you want, fantasize, dream, and then bring that into your reality.
Yes.
And I got
Yes.
way off course, but I just got Venus
You're
is just
clearly
like,
inspired, and I love that.
divinely inspired. Yes, yes, yes. By the
So,
stars.
just to review, for the coming week, we have Mercury moving on into Aquarius, the new moon in Aquarius. Mercury will do its conjunction with Pluto. Uranus will move forward, where it's been retrograde for several months. The sun is going to trine Jupiter, very good luck, good fortune vibe, where we can open ourselves up to those winds. And then at the end of the week, we've got Venus conjuncting Neptune. Really allow yourself to feel happy, and if you feel yourself sort of getting soft and opening up, really allow yourself to do that at this time, because it's time to become a little more permeable. It's time to become a little more relatable, not just to ourselves and the people that we keep close, but to other people out in the world as well. And of course, this week also is Imbolc. So again, we've got that halfway point, or halfway to spring. That is, one of many reasons to celebrate this week. And then I just want to give a quick, oh, go ahead, babe.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I just want to give a quick preview of what's going to come down next week, because next Monday we have Mercury trining Jupiter. So the sun trined Jupiter this week, and Mercury will trine Jupiter next week. And that's like our plans can bring us good fortune. The conversations that we are having can really expand our sense of what we can be, do, and have. But also next week, Venus is going to have a sextile to Pluto. That's very positive. And we will have the Mercury Cazimi next Sunday. So, Sun conjunct Mercury. That's a moment of revelation, a moment of brightness where we can see and think very clearly and collaborate very clearly. And also next week on Sunday, Mars is going to trine Saturn, which is a very positive vibe for taking care of business, getting things done.
Now, we watch several astrologers. I call them my astrology gurus. And,
Mhm.
I tend to agree with something that Rick Levine was talking about in his January show on YouTube.
Forecast, yes.
Yeah, on his forecast, on his astrology forecast. And I kind of agree with him. It seems like maybe Wednesday or so, we might have a big announcement, whatever this Mercury
Mhm.
and Aquarius Monday. So I feel like there's some things going on, and I feel like there's going to be a big announcement. I think, or more than one, maybe a collaboration of sorts. And I think that there's just going to be an extermination of a lot of our systems that we're seeing now. And I just don't think that it's going to be as horrible as it's going to seem at the very beginning. And I think that we're going to be able to have some idea of where we fit in and what we can do um, to make it a better situation for everyone, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And I'm being very, very vague there because I don't know what that's going to be, but I feel like there's going to be some announcements made. And I also can't rule out the fact that I kind of feel like I feel like we're going to experience some climate situations this
Mhm.
week.
Yeah.
And we're still kind of looking at California. They're concerned about the rain coming in and the mudslides, and
Hmm.
this is, so what is the situation, Mel, where we're going from what, air and fire to water and earth? What are
Other
those?
way around. We're going
Oh,
over the next couple of years, all of the outer planets are shifting, and this has never happened before in the history of astrology, as far as we know, where all of these outer planets, that's Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, all shifting out of water and earth signs into fire and air signs. And so
oh,
those are our collective markers. Those are our planets that speak to how we interact on a cultural level. And we're really going to be coming out of like a water and earth, which is relatively passive, but also about, building stuff and things that we can feel good about. And like that's our sort of way of going about having a collective experience. And then we shift into this fire and air, which is way more active and way more about creating experiences and taking action to create the stability that we seek for everybody in the world. So again, going from that Capricorn vibe into Aquarius, and all of the signatures that we have going down the list are over the next couple of years are really bringing us into a much more active way of being, a much more intellectual and action oriented way of being, rather than just building security and trying to feel good about it. We're going to be working possibly to break down some old systems of security, to bring about a new sense of a better experience.
right. And
Yeah.
that water and earth vibe every single time. And it brings me back to Aquarius. You know, we have to, we containing that water is the challenge.
Mhm.
Finding something that it fits in, that it won't freeze and bust, or, like there's all sorts of reasons to choose a perfect container or what can contain water. And I think that's what we're all kind of going through right now. And
Mhm.
water's emotions, intuition, we're trying to figure out, how to use our intuition, how to, you know, um, take care of our emotional well being while also, like participating in life in the outer world. So, yeah, I'm feeling those vibes a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
I'm ready for Aquarius season. I love it. I love it. I love
Yes.
the whole energy of it.
Mhm. Yes, because we're willing to take some risks in the interest of everybody having what they need. And to me, that's the best thing. I'm always sitting with the idea that, there's enough for everybody, right? There's enough food in the world for everybody, and yet people go hungry. So that's got to be a political thing and not an actual human thing, because if there's enough food for everybody, then everybody should be fed. And, the other thing that I often think about is like, Google how many people are homeless in the United States, and then Google how many empty homes are there in the United States. Like, making sure that everybody has what they need, and it's not necessarily unfair to anybody to make sure that everybody gets the support and uplift that we need, because we don't do the things that we do alone. You can't go to the bathroom in the morning without having a long list of people to thank for plumbing and your toilet and your shelter and your house. So uh, we have to start remembering the people who participate in our existence, and making sure that they have what they need as well.
Yep, and we're getting ready to figure out who those people are in our existence when they start disappearing, right?
Right.
And I don't, in all of the ways, but I mean, we really will figure out, what our new role is once one is created in a vacuum for us. And we'll
Yes.
figure out how to fill in that hole with our watery
Uh-huh.
selves, with our emotional selves when that happens. So,
Yeah, I
um,
wanted to say one more thing, and that is that there's an element to this Pluto and Aquarius and these conjunctions to Pluto and Aquarius. It feels a little bit like throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So it's a little bit like, maybe I'm going to get rid of this because I don't understand why it's here, and then you get rid of it, and you're like, oh, now I understand why it's here, right? So there might be a little bit of like, it might be distressing to see some things go away, and we're going to have to realize why we didn't want those things to go away and create something new to hold that space.
Right. So a little bit of guidance that I got by listening to her. If there's some weird piece of tape on something holding between you and water, don't touch it. Leave it alone. No, no, don't do that. If there's just like a screw in a weird place and it seems like it's holding something up, but you're not sure, don't unscrew it. Just leave it
Yeah.
there. You're going to unravel a lot of things that you don't want to deal with right now. And this
Things that
weekend, you're going to want to just like hang out and do fun things. So, like you don't want to have to do a bunch of uh, money spending on things that you've taken apart that you just wanted to
yeah,
kind of see what was going on there. So
things
I
I
do see
learned from
that.
my grandmother.
Right. Things I
Right.
do it for my grandmother. So just, that is such a lesson, Mel, when you said that, like, grandmas, our parents, they do
Mhm.
things to their homes and their stuff that we will never understand. And if you're in there cleaning out a house, if you're in there trying to help someone out and something looks auspicious to you, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Ask about it first. Make sure to ask about it
Mhm.
first. So
If you
I
don't
see
know
that
why
it's
it's there,
time.
you may wanna ask for sure.
I
Go
see
ahead.
this time to wrap up for this week.
Mhm.
I wanted to thank you so much for joining us today, every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time for Astro Insights Live with the Roses. I'm Jennifer, and that's
I'm
Mel.
Melanie. Yes.
Mel will be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time with Astrology Today on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I am working on some things and some themes, and I'm hoping to share about some superstitions on Saturday, do some spells on Saturday, and I'm looking into doing some unconventional horoscopes. And so I'm really excited about what the future of our channel looks like. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We really, really appreciate everyone who's tuned in with us today and who is hanging in there while we figure out how we would like this show to go. And, again, we have an Ultimate Aquarius playlist. We welcome all and all feedback.
Yes.
What you want to see, what you want us to talk about, like, please, please, let us know.
Definitely let us know who your favorite Aquarian artists are, okay? Or,
Absolutely.
even artists that make you think of Aquarius because, it's just a little bit outside of the box and different and new. And we all can use as much artistic inspiration in that direction as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, friends. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here. And we'll see you tomorrow.
See you Sunday.
Bye-bye.